Guys, Ash here, coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. Welcome to the video, guys. I'm glad to have you all here. Thank you for joining me. Today, we're going to go ahead and review, for the first time here in 2023, we did like a top 10 rare video a few months back. Since then, there's been a rare or two that would make the top 10. But furthermore, we haven't done like a broader review of all the rares that I would consider maxing here, 40 years, 5 years plus after the making of, or the what do I call it? The launch of Raid Shadow Legends, the making.
The decision-making wasn't very clever,
I guess. The launch of Raid Shadow Legends. So let's just jump right into it here, guys. And I want to start down at the Sylvan Watchers. We're going to change up everything this video. We're not going to start the Banner Lords. This is a fresh new vid. How you guys doing, by the way? Thank you for taking a little bit of time out of your day to chill with yours truly. I'm just going to go through faction by faction and basically just pick out the rares that I love. Pick out the rares that I maxed out. I've maxed out a lot of rares, a lot of bad ones and a lot of good ones. So I can't wait to share my faves with you guys. Talk a little bit about where you can use them as well, okay? So the first one, we just alluded to him, but Tree Shield Knot is very...
Good shot, you almost got him.
Very exceptionally good. He is the best rare reviver in Raid Shadow Legends. He's the only guy who can revive more than one ally in a single ability. 5-turn cooldown, 2 random allies, 25% turn meter, 25% HP, and a shield on all revived allies, 20% of their max HP. The 25% HP is a little low. The shield does help out. Usually you can get them back up and healed. The nice thing is he has increased defense and a heal on a 3-turn cooldown as well. He has a triple hitter, great for Fire Knight support on his A1, and speed and faction crypts. He's good for Fire Knight, he's good for progression anywhere, and is good for Faction Wars. We have that would be the only, for me, no-brainer, max out 6-star champion in the Sylvan Watchers. But I do want to give two quick nods. Turlak, Shadowbow Turlak has an increased speed and a veil, good for Faction Wars, okay? Also, he has damage mitigation on that passive. And Pathfinder K, I'm actually a big fan of. I maxed out Pathfinder K recently, maybe like 2 months ago, and I was actually, I love her. I love her for rare-only secret rooms, so I guess you could invest in her in the end game, or even take her level 50 for Faction Wars. In AoE, 50% chance of putting or increasing the cooldown of a random skill on each target by 2 turns. A really nice control, and I build her in a stun set, so I have more control on top of that built in as well. I love it. She has block buffs on the A1 and a perfect veil on this champion for 1 turn whenever they kill an enemy. Again, I wouldn't say she's a no-brainer level 60 max, but I am a fan of that champion. All right, going into the Shadowkin, guys, there is only one champion that I think is I don't want to say auto max. Of course, with every single champion, including Tree Shield Knot and everybody else, it depends on what you need, where you are in the game. I'm just talking about, in my opinion, worth your resources. Like whether you're free to play, whether you're a spender, these champions are going to help you out, even if it's just, end game content in Doom Tower hard rooms, right? Anyway, Odachi.
Odachi.
And tomato. We're going to provoke on the A1, not bad. We get a shield on himself and an AoE 3-turn cooldown. The nice thing is for some really good damage on this ability for a defense-based champion. His multipliers are actually really good, especially for a rare, so you can put out some damage if you want to build him in crit rate, if you can keep him alive, which is fairly easy because he's a defense-based champion. He also brings increased defense, which is great, even more damage out of that A2 for Faction Wars, and a block debuffs, for 1 turn. Block buffs would really suck. Block debuffs, that's pretty good.
Well, thanks for nothing.
It is for 1 turn, but it is on a 3-turn cooldown. Very, very good for Faction Wars and dungeon progression. He brings defense in dungeons by 25%. It's a really good defense aura for dungeons for a rare champion. That would be the only, for me, really good champion. However, Life Taker is a champion you can absolutely use in Fire Knight, okay? If you're lacking a Fire Knight champion, she's really got it all. Fire Knight normal, that is. She's got heal reduction, 100% on the each hit has a 100% heal reduction, right, chance, 40% land rate, 45 with Sniper Mastery. Not bad at all for the big version on that A1. And then we have a triple hitter. Each hit has a 75% chance when booked of decreasing target's turn meter by 10%. The third hit is putting the big version of decreased speed for 2 turns. This is all on a 3-turn cooldown. She also has reflect damage and a veil on herself, so even more hits on that Fire Knight shield. You pick up Phantom Touch, I mean, you're getting the reflect, you're getting a triple hitter here, you got turn meter control, you got heal reduction. A really good Fire Knight specialist, I would say, on Life Taker. Dwarf time. Who's my newbie? Oh yeah, Fire Gun.
Sexy and
All right, get you out of here. We're not talking about epics today, Ash.
It's okay not to be okay.
You guys know how much I love Kurzad Deepart. He is, in my mind, a top 10 rare inside the entire game. He's the only rare with a big version of increased accuracy on all allies, plus it's a 3-turn cooldown. Granted, you have 9 levels on this stupid thing, but you also have decreased defense. It's the weak version, but man, sometimes that's all you need. It's better than no version. So increased accuracy, decreased defense, and some damage, all on an AoE, all on a 3-turn cooldown, another 3-turn cooldown, turn meter fill. The turn meter fill isn't a ton, but it does help you get back to the A3 faster, right? To keep that increased accuracy up on all allies. I really love this dude. He also has a decreased speed on the extra hit if the attack is critical. That's a big version decreased speed on his A1. Again, the books suck on this dude, but he is how a void rare ought to be in this game. I love Kurzad Deepart. I've been saying that since the day he was brought into the game. I still think he's criminally underrated in the game. I'm his #1 fan. Bulwark is a cool champion. 30% chance of extending the duration of all debuffs on the attacker by 1 turn, especially for clan boss. I would not auto take him to 60 unless you wanted that specific passive for Demon Lord clan boss. Other than that, guys, there's some decent champions in here, but I'm trying to keep this to like the best of the best, you know what I'm saying? So for that reason, I'll give a shout out to Avir the Alchmage, not a bad A3 ability, but I don't think he's an auto max. Same thing with Dilgal. I actually think Dilgal's a little bit better than Avir the Alchmage, which he should be. He's void. He has an AoE ×2 hitter, 3-turn cooldown, big version decrease accuracy. It's hard to find this from a rare champion. It's a good ability. Moreover, he can come in and place the big version of decreased defense on a boss because it happens on each hit. It's a very, very dependable decreased defense. I do think that Dilgal is worth it, maybe even a little bit more in the end game. Again, for, well, you know what? Nah, screw that. Just like everywhere, right? If you want someone to debuff the red boss, for example, in Faction Wars, he's your guy. So I would consider Dilgal in Avir, in Bulwark, in Kurzad would be the man, the myth, the legend. Auto max, at least for me. Ninth Revenant. So there's 3 auto maxes. Any guesses who I would say here? I want to point out some honorable mentions really quickly. Alkalite has a cleanse. You can take him to level 50. And just use the cleanse, right? I mean, there's hard to find cleanses outside Reliquary Tender for rare champions. We have Coffin Smasher, right? Again, to be clear, I would not auto-max Coffin Smasher at all. But he's got a decreased attack on the A1 and a burn on the A2 and 150 books, right? We also have Renegade. Okay, so now we're getting to the no-brainers. The 3 no-brainers. I love Ashwalker. I'm a little biased. It's something about the name. I don't know what it is.
Maybe it's because of my glass eye.
Maybe.
But he's got speed in all battles, 12%, but it is all battles. Very rare for a rare. And then he has an AoE weaken, 3-turn cooldown, deals some nice damage. And then this is a great control ability. Attacks 1 enemy. We get a, 85% chance stun, and then decrease turn meter of all enemies by 10% as long as the attack is critical, which it's always going to be. A hard-hitting Great Hammer on the A1, resetting the cooldown of the Devastator ability, leading you into more stuns and more control with turn meter. I use Ashwalker in almost every secret room in the end game, Doom Tower Hard, that I can use him in, that's void friendly. I will use Ashwalker. Renegade, of course, got a little bit of a mini kind of Kaimar or Yumeko going on, one of those reset ability champions. She's great if you don't have those champions to reset the cooldowns of your most powerful champions. Renegade's got you covered, right? Very, very good champion. Decrease the cooldown of all ally skills by 2 turns, 5-turn cooldown. It's great. It's a really, really good champ, worth investing in, at least holding on to. And then Executioner, I am such a huge fan. He's very slow, but he is defense-based. He has a stun on the A1. He has an AoE, decreased turn meter by 20% on a 3-turn cooldown, 75% chance of placing decreased speed for 2 turns. Oof, this is amazing, an amazing control ability, and then he has a counterattack and an increased defense on himself, leading to more damage out of that A2 because he's a defense-based champion, so he gets more damage, and then the counterattack leads him into more chances at a stun on his A1, a 30% chance on all those counterattacks. He deals some sneaky damage, and he's got great control. I also love Executioner. All right, that is Knight Revenant. Dark Elves. Well, obviously, the best rare in the game, not even close, is Coldheart, right? I guess it depends on what you need, after all. But Heartseeker is amazing, right? You can use Coldheart everywhere in the early game, in the mid game, in the end game. You can use her against any boss susceptible to Turn Meter. We're talking Spider, we're talking Fire Knight, we're talking Dark Fae, we're talking anywhere. You know, she's just so good, so good. Quad hitter, each hit with the heal reduction as well on that A1. I use her on my Fire Knight hard team. I mean, that's how good she is. Anybody else here? Yeah, honestly, there's 2 champions, right? There's actually probably a lot more that are worth a consideration or a shout out, but I don't want to be here all day. I'm not going to cover the starters in today's video because I think that you guys are probably acquainted with the starters and where and when you can use them, right? Painkeeper's great. She also has a decrease of cooldown of all ally skills. It's 1 turn as opposed to Renegade's 2 turns. This is on a 4-turn cooldown though. She is used in a lot of clan boss teams especially, but she's good beyond that. I have a guide on her if you're curious on my champion guide channel. Just search champion guide Painkeeper and it will come up. An AoE heal as well in her kit and some turn meter fill on the A1. Very good champion, very good support champion. Judge, such a huge fan of Judge, man. Really, really grew on me. I was so late to the Judge party, but he's good. Good. Extra damage for each debuff on the target. Come back to that in a moment. On the A2, Blade Dance and AoE ×2 fills a turn meter by 10% for each critical hit. I mean, that's insane. You can get a full turn meter fill against Spider with this ability, right? That's a really, and there's no books required to get anything extra there. A little bit extra damage, that's it. But the Chaos Armor is what really puts him over the top for me to recommend him to you guys, right? With each hit, has a 30% with each hit, and he has an AoE ×2, keep that in mind. With each hit, he has a 30% chance of placing the big version of decreased accuracy, decreased speed, decreased attack, or decreased defense. He is like a little mini Contra the Cyclone, meaning like it's shocking how many debuffs he can spit out on those enemies, right? Very, very good champion. Paragon deserves a nod. You can do all kinds of crazy things with him because he has an unkillable for 2 turns on a target ally on a 2-turn cooldown, right? I want to say though that Paragon for me is not an auto max or anything like that. He's more of, okay, I want to build a team and I need an unkillable type champion that's going to be forever unkillable. Is more niche is what I'm trying to say. Same thing with Corpulent Cadaver. Like, he's one of the best champions in the game because he's on the best Infinity Shield team for Clan Boss, the best Clan Boss team and Demon Lord in the game. But it's predicated on having Underpriest Brogni on the team and a bunch of other champions. So he's not an auto max by any stretch unless you're trying to build that specific team. I guess I say all that to say that, like, just because I don't mention your favorite champion that's on a great team, I'm talking about like generalities on these champions, you know? Banshee, honorable mention, AoE on the A1, AoE on the A2, good in a stun set, right? Frozen Banshee, honorable mention. She used to be an auto max for me because she's so good. She was the first champion ever added to the game with poison sensitivity back in Battle Pass days. But now there's a lot of poison sensitivity champions. And, you know, subsequently, there's other kind of dragon strategy. Well, not really. I guess Dragon's still dominated by poison. I guess what I'm trying to say is there's a lot more poison champions, you know, like Dark Kale, for example, that people have access to for free as part of their progression in the game. So I think it's an as-needed basis for Frozen Banshee especially. Are there any no-brainers here? Nah, to me, there's no no-brainer maxers in Undead Horde. However, I will point out one of the only 5 revivers out of all rare champions in the game is Grinner. Unbury is a 4-turn cooldown, 50% HP, and a shield. It's frankly, he's one of the better revivers out of all the rares in the game. Because A, it's a 5-turn cooldown, B, there's a lot of survivability in there, and C, he has 110 base speed. He's the fastest reviver out of all the rares out there. So Grinner deserves your attention if you're looking for a good reviver. Doomscreech deserves your attention because, well, he's kind of like Seeker's little bro, you know? He's got a big version increased defense and it filled the turn meter of all allies by 30% on a 3-turn cooldown. This Warning Screech ability is truly one of the better rare, it feels epic, rare abilities in the game. He and Marked are the only champions with increased defense on a 3-turn cooldown out of all the rares out there in the game. Plus he has that juicy 30% turn meter fill. The bad thing is he's not bringing really anything else. This AoE doesn't do any damage at all. He does have decreased accuracy on the A1, but, you know, I feel like if you're looking for that kind of a kit, you've got an option there. Demon Spawn time. Fellhound, obviously. The best campaign farmer in the game. He's amazing. He's amazing. If you're having difficulty using him as your campaign farmer, you're not killing all the enemies, go ahead and throw attack percentage on his boots, right? He doesn't have to be that fast, just faster than Lord Shazar in 12-3, right? And he'll be an amazing campaign farmer. He's also sneaky good in Fire Knight. For a champion that has an AoE, just a single target hitter on the Fire Knight on the A1, he does have a reflect damage on a 2-turn cooldown that lasts for 2 turns. A really good ability there on that A2. So for me, he's a must 100% max because he'll be your campaign farmer, whether you're, you know, just starting out or whether you're endgame. Marquez is not an auto max, but she's the best arena nuker, in my opinion, out of every rare champion in the game because of this Crush the Weak ability, and she's defense based, which is nice. I love Diabolus, but I don't think she's an auto max. Another campaign farmable rare champion. She's got some nice control over here and increased speed on the A2. If you're looking for that kind of a kit, maybe you don't have an apothecary yet, I feel like you can take her to level 50. You don't need to invest to level 60 on Diabolus to get utility out of her, but I would max out Abyssal.
What the hell is even that?
I've said this before recently on the channel, so it's not going to be a surprise for you regular viewers, but Abyssal is so good. AoE on the A1, great for stun sets. I love the block buffs. It might not seem like much, but an AoE block buffs for 2 turns on the A1 ability at a 30% clip is really good for control. And that block buffs lands a lot more often than you'd think in some of these you know, secret rooms. Also has an AoE heal on a 3-turn cooldown, but most importantly, I guess with that AoE on the A1, increased defense and increased attack on the same ability. It's really nice to have, especially in those rare only secret rooms. I find myself using Abyssal more and more and more in the end game, which is really, really cool. Okay, next up is Orcs. So we have... Get to the chopper, what are you waiting for? I'm here now, do it.
Am I in?
I'm still working on the Arnold impersonation. I would not max Chopper. Nobody here. Nobody. Even Ironclad is really fun. I put out a guide on him recently. I love him in a stun set, because every time he's healed with surplus, he AoEs, giving a chance at stun, right? So really cool in that regard. Other than that, I think he's just kind of a fun champion to have fun with. I guess it's a little redundant. Skinwalker. I will say, okay, let's see. Well, maybe not a lot. Greybeard's not bad. I wouldn't say he's an auto max though. Wouldn't say he's an auto max. He's campaign farmable though, so free to everybody. He has an AoE freeze, defense based on a 3-turn cooldown. That's pretty dang good for control. He has a provoke, nice 75% provoke on the A1, good for early game like Magma Dragon, right? And then he has a shield as well with a counterattack on himself, leading to more provokes. I have to say, a good kit plus defense in dungeons by 30%. I want to say that's the best dungeon aura out of every rare champion in the game, okay, for defense. So definitely noteworthy. If you need a little bit of control, definitely invest, or provoke and freeze. But I wouldn't say an auto max. Gnarlhorn, dude, I mean, he has an AoE provoke and an increased defense on himself, and then he has unkillable on for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. So, I mean, he's really, I think he's the best provoker. I know. He's the best provoker in terms of an AoE out of every rare champion in the game. So, definitely worth your consideration. If you already have a bunch of provokers that are, you know, legendary and or epic, then obviously pass, you know? So it's really about what you need. And I think that's a reoccurring theme here at this point in the video, right? Fleshmonger, though, I will say, definitely worth your consideration for the end game especially. He's a Magic Affinity champion, right? Does he have? I thought he had like the starting champion's belt or something, or head somewhere on him. Who am I thinking of there? I forgot. He's got a triple hitter on the A1, good for Fire Knight, right? He's got an increased attack, increased crit rate on this champion for 2 turns, grants an extra turn. I don't care about the increased attack or increased crit rate, frankly. It's nice to have, yeah, but like the extra turn really makes his kit good. because that's going to help reduce this from a 4-turn to a 3-turn cooldown on the A3. He's got the big version of increased defense at a 75% land rate, a la like a dagger, right? It is a 4-turn cooldown, but again, that extra turn helps bring this down throughout the duration of the battle, and he can deal some nice damage. So you'll see him used as a debuffer in all the magic-only secret room content in the end game. He's a champion you can throw in your vault, and you can use him later on. You know, use him in the end game. You don't have to max him out in the early game. I would not max him out, frankly, in the early or the mid game for dungeon progression. I would wait till the end game on that champion. Muckstalker, he's still worth your consideration if you're looking for a sleep champion for Sand Devil's Necropolis. So he's going to be kind of a very niche champion. He's nice and tanky though, over 20k on his HP. He is an HP based champion, but it's good to know about him. And another campaign farmable champion. Metal Shaper, same type of thing. You know, maybe for Scarab King or something, right? It's a 2-turn shield on all allies, right? So it lasts for 2 turns on a 2-turn cooldown. Another champion that's worth your, you know, not worth your resources unless you absolutely need a 2-turn shield. Again, kind of a Scarab King, kind of a Scarab King type thing, kind of a Sand Devil type thing. Specialist, right? Haruspex is not a auto max, but he's again one of the 5 revivers in the game. Revives a dead ally, 30% HP, fills their turn meter by 30%. It's a crappy revive. He's not a great champion, but you should know about him if you need a reviver for Lizardmen Faction Wars. Just take him to level 50. That's it. Take him to level 50 and build him tanky and you'll be good. I gotta give a nod to Cagebound. Another champion you can take to level 50 for Faction Wars. I wouldn't really be using him outside of that, but he's a really good Faction War champion, guys. There's a lot of crappy Void rares in the game. He's really not one of them. He has an AoE decrease attack, 100%, it's a weak version, but it's 100% on 3-turn cooldown. That's great damage mitigation if you don't have a big version. And then this Ally Protect on a 3-turn cooldown is really good. It's only a 25% Ally Protect, but that's the same as a big version of Strengthen, even though he's taking damage on top of it, obviously. But it's a good support from this champion. A good damage mitigator through his Ally Protect and through his decreased attack. I mentioned this before, but I wouldn't want him to have the big version of Ally Protect because he's not tanky enough to handle all that damage. The weak version of Ally Protect on the 3-turn cooldown is actually better than the big version on a 3-turn cooldown, in my opinion, on that particular champion, because of how squishy-ish he is. All right, that's it. Ogryn Tribe. There's a lot of bad Ogryn Tribe rares, in my opinion. A lot of buffs needed here. There's only 2 champions that I would look into here, and it's Bellower, obviously. We put out a guide on Bellower, an updated guide for the first time in like 3 years last week, so check it out, guys. He's incredible. An AoE on every ability, and then all the essential, or a lot of the essential debuffs, including block active skills for some control. You can put him in a stun set, even more control. AoEs everywhere, decrease speed, decrease attack, decrease defense. He's great, could be a campaign farmer on top of all that too. Gear Grinder, one of the 5 revivers. There's only 1 left after this, guys. We're counting them all down for you guys. Now you'll know all the revivers. Tree Shield, Grinner, Gear Grinder, Haruspex, Reliquary Tender. Am I forgetting somebody? Or is that it? Anyway, he's got the revive, 50% turn meter, 50% HP. It's a good revive. And he's got a heal, and then he's got a continuous heal on himself on the A1. A very, very simplistic kit, but he's got the revive, he's got the heal, he's a good support champion. Good for HP only secret rooms in the end game. Good for Faction Wars as well. So if you need that sort of, utility, look no further than Gear Grinder. He's also pretty decent, almost 20k HP in a shield set to give him extra utility to the team. A champion that's that basic for me, I like trying to find a really nice artifact set to get more utility out of them. Marked is not an auto 60 anymore, in my opinion, but you ought to know about her. Again, if you're lacking an increased defense champion, she's the best out of all the rares. I'd even invest in her over Doomscreech, and she's not a void either. Why? Because she's also bringing block debuffs for 1 turn, and the increased defense for 2 turns, all on a 3-turn cooldown. It's a very, very good ability. And then an AoE decreased accuracy on the A2, decreased defense, albeit the weak version on the A1. It's the weak version, but it's an 80% land rate. Not bad, right? And then defense and faction crypt. So if you need an increased defense champion, Marked is definitely worth your consideration. War Maiden is an auto max champion. She's campaign farmable in the stage 9, I believe. believe. She got good damage. She's bringing her own increased attack buff. Helps get extra damage from this champion. And then the AoE decreased defense, 100% land rate. There it is. Still the only rare with that ability in the game. We need one more. But hey, she still got it. Thus, she's going to be your main debuffer for any rare-only content in the end game. And she's probably going to be your main debuffer in the early game as well. Soul Bond Bowyer, Auto Max for me. She is one of the better the best, I would say, control rare in the game. AoE on the A1. All of her abilities have an extra 25% chance of inflicting a critical hit. Put her in a stun set. Pick up Fearsome Presence. You get a 23% chance of landing a stun without needing accuracy every single time you do the A1. In a lot of the rare-only secret rooms, there's some spirit-only secret rooms. A lot of areas you can use her in the end game and in the early game, and even in the early and mid-game arena farming, right? So she got the AoE. She's got this ability from the arena. Attacks one enemy, will ignore 75% of the target's defense. You can get some good damage in the arena with this ability. Not crazy, but good. And then Soul Bond Shot. This is where her kit really just comes together, and you got to give her the nod as the best control. Not just the A1 on the AoE on the A1, but 100% fully depleting target's turn meter, a la Coltart minus the enemy max HP part on the A3. Very, very, very good champion. One of my faves. Can you tell? Other than that, guys, I like Berserker. He's a good damage dealer in AoE ×2. Ignoring 20% of each target's defense, but definitely not an auto max. All right, Sacred Order time. I don't think there's any. There's a lot of them, but there's no auto max. I just recorded a video right before this one. Aethel's good, by the way. You know, like we haven't talked about the starters, but Aethel is worth maxing, even if you didn't pick her. I should say that. I wanted to just comment on Castigator really quickly here. I just talked about this in the shard opening video. I'm sorry to throw so much shade at Castigator because he's like a really cool looking champion and stuff, but I'm extremely disappointed with this champion. I maxed him out. He's not a good healer at all. I mean, if you really want that provoke on the A1, go for it. He's heal the ally with the lowest HP by 20% of his max HP on a 4-turn cooldown. Then equalize the HP level of all allies and grants this champion an extra turn. It's not equalizing the HP level of all allies to the ally with the highest HP like every other ability in the game like this, that reads like this, does. Thus, this equalization is really not doing any healing. Barely any healing, you know? So all we're getting is a provoke and a 20% heal on a 4-turn cooldown with the extra turn. You know, I don't know. The passive is meh, you know. I was just very disappointed. I misread that ability. I missed it. I kind of just glanced at it. I'm like, oh, the same as like Sinesha. No, 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 no. So buyer beware there. Apothecary. Great heal. It can be critical on a 2-turn cooldown. Great dungeon aura. 21% in dungeons. Triple hitter on his A1. Great for Fire Knight. And then the increased speed, turn meter fill, great for the arena and anywhere else. Apothecary is still one of the best rares in the game. Auto max 100%. You can use him in the early, the mid, and the end game. Elhain is very good. Eris is very good. If you know, at least vault Eris, okay? At least vault her. Campaign farmable champion. She has she'll remove a random debuff from all allies, aka she'll remove the stun. So she can be your stun cleanser for Clan Boss. Also bringing increased speed on a 3-turn cooldown. She's counterattacking whenever she's attacked, which makes her a great candidate for Clan Boss in a toxic set. So she's counterattacking and constantly placing those poisons if you're not already overloading the 10 debuffs on the Clan Boss. So very good champion for Clan Boss specifically, not an auto max, but very good if you want to build a Clan Boss team. The auto max in that case. Go to deadwoodjedi.com, look up Clan Boss teams with Eris, see if you can make one, and then invest, right? Don't invest not knowing if you can make a team around Eris. She's very specific in terms of the speed tuning and such. Reliquary Tender to me is an auto max. She's the last reviver we're going to talk about with 30% HP, 30% turn meter, 5-turn cooldown. Not a great revive, but it is a revive. She also has a full cleanse and the big version of a continuous heal on a 3-turn cooldown. This is one of the better abilities out of every rare in the game. I repeat, one of the better abilities out of any rare in all of Raid Shadow Legends. Also has the weak version of decreased attack on the A1. Great support champion. There's so many areas of the game that you need a cleanser. So many bosses that are dishing out tons of debuffs. You can use her anywhere in those areas, right? No other options there on High Elves. Bannerlord time. Whew, Bannerlord. I'm not a fan of Dagger. I know a lot of you guys are, but I gotta be real with you guys. She's very squishy, 12k HP, 793. She's got an AoE decreased defense, but it's a 75% land rate. I'm just not investing. I want 100%. On my decreased defense, I want 100%. There's too much RNG involved. Some enemies can stay alive. They'll ruin your cycle. Like I'm not investing. She's too squishy too. On top of that, right? I would for a Void rare champion. She could be so good. All they gotta do for a Void is bump this to 75%, booked out to 100. That's all they have to do. It's like one of the most, and to me, it's one of the most necessary buffs out of any rare champion in the game. No other champion should take to 60 here out of any of these champions, but Valerie is a campaign farmable rare who is worth taking to 50. She's got a shield, a pretty dang good shield, albeit on a 5-turn cooldown, with a heal, okay? Heals each ally according to the number of buffs they're under. It's a good support ability. It's called Protect, it does just that. But it's really the energizing presence that is the highlight of her kit. Increase the duration of all buffs on all allies by 1 turn. Decrease the duration of all debuffs on allies by 1 turn. Increase attack on all allies for 2 turns. There is no, I repeat, no rare champion that has this ability or anything close to it. This is truly, there's only a few epics that have this ability. You know, Sandlash Survivor, Godseeker and Neri, some of the better epics, right? There's a few others too. But this is a very, very good ability. It's a Krisk type ability, right? It's good. Increasing duration of buffs allows you to take an increased defense, for example, from a champion like Marked, you know? Let's just pretend that we're using Marked, and she places an increased defense and a block debuff for 1 turn and 2 turns, respectively, on a 3-turn cooldown. Then you have Valerie come in. You can build, at level 50 is fine. You don't even have to get masteries on her, right? Just book down that A2 and you can use it. You can easily book her using dupes, okay? And she's going to come in and extend the duration of block debuffs to 2 turns. Increase defense to 3 turns. And then we get back to this before increased defense even expires on most of our other allies. That's the power of an ability like that. So really, really good. Definitely do not sleep on Valerie if you're having struggles keeping your buffs up. Or, you know, a little mini cleanse there too, decreasing the duration of all debuffs by 1 turn. Sometimes 1 turn is all you need. So guys, there it is. The updated every rare champion. I feel like this was a pretty comprehensive look. I included a lot of honorable mentions and, you know, kind of where and why you might want to invest in some of these other more niche champions. Thank you for watching, and as always, take care, guys.